Welcome to the Pittsburgh Dish. I'm your host, Doug Howman. Do you have the privilege of hosting a big holiday feast in the coming weeks? Or maybe you're just contributing a little something to the meal? Well, this episode is for you. From timing and turkey to desserts and more, we're getting the inside advice from a couple of pros. And what bottles are you pulling off the shelf or out of the chill chest for your next big feast? Resident wine expert Catherine Montest gives us some guidance. All that ahead. Stay tuned. Hey, everybody. We're joined today with two of our favorite prior guests, and I'll let them reintroduce themselves. And then we're going to talk about holiday dinners and some of the fun stuff that folks encounter with that. Would you go first?
Sure. My name is Janet Loughran. I've been a chef for almost 2 decades. And actually, my counterpart here, we are kind of similar in what we do. So there might be some overlap. I have an Instagram page, Chef Life Hacks, that I love sharing tips and tricks and recipes. I'm on KDK Talk Pittsburgh once a month. I do cooking classes. And then I also have a meal delivery service called Red Wagon Meals. Provide meals for families each week. A mom of 2 and a wife. So all about, it's a lot.
Janet, you have nothing going on. Well, we talked a few months ago. What have you been doing since we talked last? Any big things happening?
Well, I've gained some new clients, which is nice because they're kind of spreading the word. If you are a busy working parent and you want to have ready to heat meals, that's just kind of blown up. I've really gone strong into cooking classes. I've really loved the interaction, the questions that they have. You don't realize what you know till people ask you questions, and it's nice to share. So it's one of my favorites.
That's why you're here today.
Yeah, love it.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
I noticed you doing a lot of stuff for the Kaufman Apartments downtown.
Oh, yes.
Looks like a really cool gig.
Oh my gosh. The department store that was there was huge in my life growing up. It was like a mecca for us for Christmas. And you would go to Santa's secret shop and, have breakfast there and everything. So what they've done whenever that closed down is they basically blew out the center of the department store. And so it's like a nice courtyard for the apartments. They have windows and everything. Huge, beautiful rooftop with a lot of amenities. But I'm their resident chef. I do a lot of cooking classes there. If they have a happy hour, I'm there. So it's been fun.
Super fun. Yeah.
I love it. Pinch myself moment every time.
And let's move over to our second guest of today.
Hi, Doug. I am Chef Alekka, just like Janet. I am a private chef. I do lean into a lot of the cooking for people's like special events. I also teach cooking classes too. I've used Janet a lot for my private events when I need an extra set of hands because she is a monster in the kitchen. I love it.
We work well together.
Yeah, we work really well together.
Yeah, we have fun.
I'm on Talk Pittsburgh twice a month. And I also just started teaching again at Phipps Conservatory.
I have seen these classes.
Love them so much.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, same as Janet, like what you've been up to. But these are sort of a new thing you've been doing this summer, right?
Yes.
And what's the audience? Is it adults? Is it kids?
Well, the summertime I did do the kids' summer camp, which I love. Like I said before, I love teaching the kids. And at night, it's adults.
Any special topics that you guys have focused on over at Phipps?
Just we're all over the
board?
All over the board.
Oh.
But they do like to focus on, using the stuff from their garden and keeping it healthy.
I think I just saw you outside of Phipps picking stuff to use. It looks so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Oh my gosh, I just got chills.
The big news is my shared kitchen space is open in Mount Oliver. Woo!
So exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you have a name for this space yet?
It's called the Mount Oliver Shared Kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm the manager of it. And it's been a long journey, as you guys have know about.
And if folks want to know more, I don't know if you're filled up yet with the capacity there, but this is a commercial space that if you're doing cooking, you could sort of join into.
Right.
And do your cooking in the legal way, the health department cleared way.
Yes.
And take that food elsewhere, or does it even have space to do dinner there?
Yeah, so there's a little event space in the front. And then right around the corner in the hallway, there's a shared kitchen.
Alekka, if people want to learn a little bit more about this, like where should they reach out if this is interesting to them?
We actually have an email now.
Okay.
Woo.
I'll have to tell you in a minute. I have to look it up.
Sounds good. So friends, we're actually here to talk about holiday meals. We're in that sort of fall season where folks start to gather for the big turkey meal, or maybe into the holidays in December, into January. And I think it'd be really interesting to get your takes on some of the questions that you get and just share some of that knowledge. Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
You
All
got
right.
two good people to do that.
Well, let's just throw it out there first. When you are dealing with maybe some of your clients or just folks in life, and they're saying, oh my gosh, I have to prepare this big meal. It feels like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
What are some of the common questions or pitfalls that people bring to you?
I think the biggest thing is timing, making sure that
Yep.
all of these things that you want to make for that holiday party are going to come together, be hot and ready at the same time. My biggest tips, number one, try to pawn some items off on your guests.
Share the work,
I
right?
mean, a lot of times they say,
Absolutely.
what can I bring? Let them bring something. Maybe it's something that they feel comfortable making. It's their family meal.
Yeah.
Or if you say, hey, I really just need mashed potatoes. Can you make those for me and bring that? So pawn off if you can. If not, try to do as much ahead of time before the day of your party as you can. Those mashed potatoes can be made up to 4 days ahead of time. You know, those casseroles can be put together and even probably par cooked and then finish cook on the day. You know, obviously if you're having a turkey or something like that, you want to do that day of, but try to look at the menu that you've written down and say, what can I do ahead of time? Dips, a lot of appetizers can be done ahead of time. So you don't have so much on your plate that day and you can enjoy your guests. You can not be rushed. You know, we're not on the bear. Remember that bear episode with the mom just going crazy? You don't have to be like that. It can be a lot more relaxed.
You want to enjoy it. I'm right there with you. And I've gotten some of these tips from my mom. She makes several things ahead. She peels her potatoes a day ahead. I like to pawn off the appetizers and sometimes the dessert, because that way, if I do have a menu in my head that, you know, people don't have to bring that casserole that might interrupt the flavor.
True.
But appetizer and dessert are those bookends that people can also join into.
It's a great idea.
You
Yeah.
pawn that off on me.
So, Alekka, what would you say?
Mine is, and I said this last night in my cooking class, is go shopping now for what you can use for the holidays, because I always know in my house, my dad is always the running out that day, you know, stuff for gravy or like a miscellaneous item. So I say right now, throw away your baking powder, your baking soda,
Oh, yeah.
get all new, you know, you can freeze flour. You can buy a couple bags of flour. You can get your pumpkin pie filling now. You can even, if you want to buy the bread for the stuffing,
Yeah, all the
all
non-perishables.
the non-perishables, you know, get them now.
If you've got the room in the freezer, you can put a lot of things in there.
When it's like the Hunger Games, like right before Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and people are, you know, like raiding the stores,
And
you can get all of that now.
Yeah, the shelves don't need to be bare.
Like if you buy your stocks or your spices, get it now.
I think you make a really good point too. This is a great time of year to go through your cupboard and refresh all of the
Yes.
baking items. Because I can tell you right now, my flour in this cupboard behind me is like a year old.
Yeah.
It needs to go, right? You don't want to make that pie that's supposed to be special with old stuff.
Questionable flour.
Or
Exactly.
yeast, you know, if it's not going to
yeast.
bloom for you.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
good. So since we're kind of leaning into that shared gathered meal, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Thanksgiving and specifically about turkey. For some reason, I think personally, it's not that hard, but people seem to make a big deal about roasting the turkey and whether to brine it or not brine it. I'll throw it back to you again, Janet. You know, what are some of the questions you get and what are some tips you would tell folks about roasting the turkey?
I think the biggest thing is people don't know how to gauge what the temperature is of the turkey if it's done properly, not undercooked. What you need to do is not use one of those poppers that you sometimes can see when it comes in.
The ones that they're embedded in the turkey breast.
Yeah.
Those scare me.
Pull it out, throw it away.
Throw it away. Yeah. I don't really like cooking with plastic in the item that you're eating, you know?
And while
they're
we're
not-
at it, take the giblets and stuff out of the
Right.
center
Yes.
because they're in a plastic bag
Yes,
too sometimes.
for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not accurate, those poppers. So you want to use a thermometer, put it in between the drumstick thigh area of the turkey and then where it meets the chicken breast, the white meat. And 165 is what we're looking for.
And where it meets the turkey breast.
Did I say chicken breast? You did.
For Thanksgiving.
Poultry, the
Yeah.
poultry breast. And you just want to insert it where it meets the turkey breast and get the 165 degrees there. For
All
you.
right. Any other tips for keeping the turkey moist and delicious while it's baking?
I have a couple. There's something called spatchcocking. If you've never heard of that, I know it's a funny name that we're all turning 12 years old right now. But what you basically do is just cut out the vertebrae of the turkey and then lay it flat. Yeah, the backbone.
Yeah.
Right. And then you lay it flat so that it all has an even cooking time, because dark meat takes a little bit longer than white meat. That's why white meat can be a little bit dry. Speaking of that, how to maybe keep that not so dry for the turkey breast is you actually can lay over slices of bacon.
Ooh.
And that fat that renders out goes into the turkey breast. So
That
good.
sounds like the best way to baste a turkey in my
Yes.
book.
Why not?
Seriously, hands-off basting. I didn't even think about that. And then the drippings that you get from that for the gravy with the bacon flavor in there.
Different like smokiness. Oh, my
I'm hungry
goodness.
now.
I know.
Alekka, what about you and talking turkey? Is there any other tips that you have?
So my trick is I put the turkey in at a high temperature first to get that crispy,
That browning on the
browning.
top,
But
yeah.
everybody forgets about the underside of the turkey.
Yeah, it
So
gets
what
kind
I
of
do-
anemic looking because it might be sitting right against
Right.
the juices.
So after that first initial high temperature, everybody turns the oven down. So I flip my turkey over.
Oh.
So the breast is facing down, and then you get that color on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That's for about, I don't know, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Per pound, yeah.
Yeah, per pound.
But I also like that idea too, because you're putting the juicier dark meat on top
Yep.
of the white meat. So all of those juices are filtering down.
Exactly.
Plus, they have a better, what is it called? Whenever the heat is, on it, it has more exposure. There's
Yes.
more exposure to the heat.
And my dad is like the king of gravy at our house. So he puts the turkey on like a cookie rack
Oh, yeah.
and puts all the veggies
yeah.
underneath. So it's-
Aromatic veggies.
so all the fat drips on those veggies. I mean, I eat half of them during the day.
Yeah, we're talking like carrots and onion and maybe celery.
Garlic, celery. He incorporates that into his giblet gravy.
Delicious. Are you pro stuff the turkey or not stuff the turkey?
Not stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
we don't do it either. We don't stuff.
No.
We do the stuffing dressing in a totally different pan or
Yeah.
something.
I didn't grow up that way. My grandma always put the stuffing in, but I think as I get older, I realize that you have to have the middle of that stuffing at 165. So what temperature is that outside dry, turkey right now?
Yeah.
Because, for foodborne illnesses, you have to make sure that that inside temperature is 165.
And so you're
Yeah.
drying out the outer actual meat, the
Right.
good stuff.
Yeah, to
Right.
get that stuffing cooked.
No good.
No.
All
No
right.
bueno.
Last question. Do you brine your turkey or not brine it? What camp are you all in?
I'm in Camp Brine.
Me too.
Ooh,
but that's
I'm
my
not.
family. Yeah. Oh, so how do you do it, Alekka?
I just do the salt, water, peppercorns, bay leaf, dried herb, like whatever.
And what's your kind of time horizon there? Do you do it a day
24
ahead?
hours.
24 hours.
Yeah.
All right. You're not like my parents who go really big and they'll brine for a couple days.
Whoa.
Wow.
Does it change the texture of the meat?
Yeah.
We've loved it more because we used to not do that. We also roast it on a countertop roaster, and it just turns out amazing. We don't go for like the whole crispy skin brown, but all of the meat is super, super juicy. And so that's sort of been the winner way for, oh my gosh, the last 10 years with them.
Cool.
What about you, Janet?
Well, I don't know. I feel like it's more time consuming. You have to have some sort of pot or receptacle that's large enough to hold that turkey because there's displacement with the water.
Yeah, it's tough to
we
do.
should maybe talk about displacement of oil if someone's going to fry their turkey. There's a lot of issues with that. We could go back to that. Anyway, it just made me think about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, me personally, I feel like it maybe changes the texture of it a little bit. I might be a little bit high maintenance that way, but if you guys I'm not one of those people that say this is the way I do it and the way you do it is different and it's wrong. No, if that makes you happy and you have the result that you want, great.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you've got the fridge space and you like the way it tastes and texture doesn't change for you, go for it. Now, Janet, since you are not in the camp of like a wet brine, do you do like a copious amount of salt and pepper on the bird? Like how do you season it up?
I actually will make a compound butter, which basically is just butter with ingredients added to
You
it.
put that underneath the
Under
skin.
the skin,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
If you don't if there's someone who's a little squeamish about chicken, don't have them in the kitchen at that point because it's not a pretty process.
You are talking about my husband. He would pass out watching you do that.
Yeah, but it's actually easier than you think to separate the skin from the flesh and then put whatever stuffings you want in there.
So good.
And then it's like it's basting itself.
Yeah.
Take your rings off, watch your fingernails, have really clean hands.
Yeah.
Get under there and just do it.
Or wear gloves, yeah.
Or wear gloves, yeah. All right. So I think we've totally talked turkey, and we've probably thrown some vegetarians on pause right now.
Yeah, welcome back, come back.
Well, yeah, let's do that. So what if we have some folks coming to a meal and we know they're vegetarian? So many folks do that from a lifestyle choice, but they also sometimes have to do it for health reasons. Is there another dish that you have made or seen that really works well as a vegetarian offering and doesn't necessarily make them feel left out?
I think Thanksgiving would be like a vegetarian's dream
You
with
just
all
remove
the
the turkey.
sides.
Yeah.
Just go for all the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they're so, just eliminate replace with vegetable stock. One thing that I made for a secret menu social that I'm going to do this Thanksgiving is a marinated zucchini. So you marinate it in olive oil. So I do champagne vinegar,
Ooh, yum.
some red pepper flakes, and then you grill it or you saute it till it gets nice and caramelized. I put that on a bed of herbed ricotta and some hazelnuts and some mint.
That sounds
Ooh,
delicious.
the
Yeah.
mint. I bet the mint really brightens that
Yeah,
up.
it does. Because, you don't want like a table of brown food
Right.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think getting some acid things, some fresh things. I like the idea of some grilling things because we can still do that even in the cold months.
Yeah.
Go out to the grill, do a little smoky char on something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grill in the winter all the time.
Me too.
My neighbors think I'm crazy, but I love it. It still works. My thinking is if you have someone that would like a main item, not just all of the sides, if you take acorn squash and par bake it for 30 minutes, you can easily cut through that. It's not going to have any resistance to it. Scoop out those seeds. Literally fill it with whatever you want.
Oh, that's good.
I've done a quinoa, kale, carrots, maybe even some vegan cheese if they're vegan, or you can do Parmesan if they're vegetarian.
Nuts in there or something.
Oh, yeah. Pine nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That
a little bit of
sounds
crunch.
good.
Or you can make it a sweet and savory. I've added dried cranberries to it. So they basically get a half of an acorn squash as their main item. And it's quite filling because you scoop. It's kind of like a baked potato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You scoop the flesh and kind of keep the skin intact. The other thing I've used in the past is a portobello mushroom.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say that. Yeah,
If
the
you-
portobello mushroom.
You got to scoop out those gills, and then you can put, a breadcrumb filling in there if you want to, a mixture with some vegetables. It kind of tastes beefy, and it's filling. So those are my two thoughts.
I love those ideas. And I also like the idea that maybe if you're doing a Friendsgiving, you could go vegetarian for that whole thing, skip the turkey, and make these mains like you're suggesting, stuffed squash, stuffed portobello mushroom, and everyone's eating the same thing and still enjoying
a
themselves.
dinner of carbs.
I know.
Well-
Totally fine.
I feel like so many people hear vegan and vegetarian and they think flavorless and, tofu. And there's so many options. A lot of the things you're eating every day are vegan and vegetarian already. So it's not that far-fetched to maybe get out of your comfort zone.
I like spaghetti squash.
I do too. I love
do
spaghetti
that,
squash.
too.
I'm a big squash fan. People
Yeah.
think that they're just decorations, but they're tasty if you do it right.
This time of year, they're
Yeah.
all fresh. And then even if you buy some, they last for like a couple months.
I know.
They're like your rations for the winter.
Hi, this is Janet Loughran of Chef Life Hacks.
And this is Alekka Sweeney of Chef Alekka PGH. And you're listening to the Pittsburgh Dish.
You both sparked another question too, and I think it's important to talk about. It comes up more with the Thanksgiving meal, but it should not just be all brown food. And we should have some pops of flavor in there. The one thing I hear about that folks struggle with the Thanksgiving meal is maybe incorporating acid or some freshness. I know we get that from the cranberry sauce, but are there any other sides or casseroles that you like to incorporate to make sure that you have those different notes of flavor and it's not just that one heavy brown food plate?
I think a lot of times it can maybe come from vinaigrette on a nice salad.
Oh, yeah.
Get some hearty vegetables and vegetables really that aren't cooked.
Yeah.
Basically, I would think maybe a balsamic would be nice. Like if you do a roasted butternut squash with some sage and shallots and have some balsamic on
drizzle
there.
on top?
Nice
Oh.
nice little pop.
I like that.
I do, instead of croutons, I do like a fried goat cheese
Whoa.
crouton
Ooh, on a salad?
on the
Wow.
salad.
Oh.
But you have to freeze the goat cheese first. Like
Okay.
you put it through a little breading
Yes.
procedure.
While it's chilled.
While it's chilled,
Freeze
then you
it.
freeze it, and then you can either bake it or fry it, and then put that on the salad with the acid.
Yum.
So you have that crunchiness and the ass. Look at your face.
Sounds
Doug.
delicious.
It is. I've had it. It's delicious.
Yeah.
She made it for me.
I'm also envisioning it back to that squash recipe that Janet, maybe put a little block of that on the end.
Yes.
Goat cheese on anything is
Yeah.
good for me. I love
my.
goat cheese.
But it's very
Delicious.
important to freeze it first.
Yes.
Before you do anything to it.
Because then it's just going to ooze out everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's got that tang. It's got that sort of acidity to it. I love
Yeah.
that.
And people don't expect it.
A couple years ago, I started making an Ina Garten recipe, and you braise carrots, parsnips, and I think it's shallot in orange juice. And they look bright. The colors
Yeah.
are good. I do cook them to their soft. There's a little thyme in there as well. But that acidity, that was like a new add to my plate. And that was like, yes, we're going to keep this.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because everything's really rich that day. you
Yeah.
know,
So this is
very
a
heavy.
cleaner flavor. A little citrus in there.
Oh, I like that.
Always seems nice.
Cool.
Well, I think we've hit the holiday meal, and especially we talked turkey and now some sides. I'd like to talk about the sweets or the desserts. For Thanksgiving, I'm pretty much a pumpkin pie guy. If you ask me for Christmas or another Friendsgiving, I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air. I feel like it should be special. And I start thinking about apple things or spicy things like a spice cake. What do you all like for holiday desserts, or what are your specialties?
So I always gravitate towards more individual desserts.
Oh,
So, for example, I show my people, I show my students, instead of making 5 or 6 full-size pies or people bring them, I make my pies in cupcake pans.
Oh my gosh, that's genius.
that is genius.
Yes. So you can do like 3 pecan, 3 pumpkin, a couple apples, some cranberry, and everybody gets their own little individual little pilot or whatever you want to call
I
it.
love that.
I just had a vision of a pie charcuterie board with all these little pies.
Why
lined up.
not?
Yeah. And a lot of people like the crust. So it sounds like you
Yes.
have more crust to filling ratio
Yes.
with all these
Right.
little guys.
And you don't have to commit to a big piece.
That's
you can just
right.
have a little one, maybe
Yeah.
go on to another one, maybe have a buddy that's going to have one,
Yeah.
share one
So you
with
can
you.
satisfy everybody, in like 2 cupcake pans.
Love it.
Genius.
Another thing I'm gravitating towards and kind of putting on a menu is poached pears.
Oh, yeah.
This is pear season. It looks beautiful if you poach it in some red wine.
Tell them how easy it is to
It
poach
is
a pear.
so
People
People
top only, right?
people
It's
think-
all on the stove.
Yeah,
top,
you
right?
have to hollow out, I use a melon baller to hollow out the bottom of the pear, and then you cut a little foot on it.
remove the skin.
Yeah, remove the skin. The trick is when you put it in your poaching liquid, is to put a piece of parchment paper on top to keep
Cartouche.
Keep them down.
Listen to you.
fancy-
You're my cartoon.
I know what I'm talking about.
This is a fancy chef time. So the parchment paper keeps them weighed down below the surface.
Yeah, so
right?
you can, want to occasionally turn them around so you get like an even. So then you cook it until I take a paring knife until it's the consistency of like potatoes for potato salad.
Just go in, like the
Yes.
knife goes in and out clean.
And then I reduce that poaching liquid to a sauce. So it's like all one in one pot dessert.
Yeah. And then it becomes like a glaze kind of
Yeah.
as you let it evaporate some of
Yeah.
the liquid.
It's sort of like some creme fraiche or some vanilla ice cream.
Here's what I love about this. It doesn't involve the oven again,
Nope.
because some people don't have that capacity and want to do that. It doesn't sound like high flying, like pie dough rolling. All of that's eliminated. Do you have any idea how long you typically do simmer the pears?
It depends on the pear, I feel like.
Yeah.
If you're using Asian pears, they're like an apple. Or
Yeah.
a Basque pear, it's a little bit skinnier. So I would say, 30 minutes
30 minutes?
to an
Yeah.
hour,
Okay.
depending on how thick it is.
On like a simmer. Not a
Simmer.
hard boil.
You don't want to boil it because the outside's going to be mushy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the inside's going to be raw almost.
And those can be held in the refrigerator and either served cold or
Yeah.
reheated day of. I mean, with that sugar outer coating, it's
It's
gonna
so good.
preserve. Yeah.
If
And then the leftovers you can cut up and use in
Oh, a salad.
a salad.
oh my
like
gosh.
goat cheese and
Yeah.
walnuts.
So it has multi-uses.
I love the poached pear idea. Alekka, if people don't want to use wine, have you ever done this in like a brown sugar syrup or something else, like non-alcoholic?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
There are some really good Open Road here has some really good non-alcoholic wines you can use.
Yes.
My advice on desserts for Thanksgiving. I know a lot of people want to really impress your guests. Really don't try to do something brand new.
No.
Right. I think that's a good rule for anybody.
Yeah.
You want to practice first anyway.
When you're entertaining guests, you're stressed already. You want the house to be nice. You want everything to come together. Don't try something new that you've never made before. It's likely not going to turn out perfectly the first time.
Yes.
And you can buy pre-made pie dough.
You can buy the dessert.
If you do make pie, I'm
world.
starting to make my pie doughs now for the holidays,
And you
because
freeze?
you can freeze unsalted
Sweet.
butter for 3 months. Going back to like my buying stuff for the holidays, you can buy your butter now and keep it in the freezer. Oh, okay. So going back to the shared kitchen space, I'm going to be doing a class there a couple days before Thanksgiving called I Forgot to Make a Pie.
Oh,
Good name.
I like this.
So you either bring in a pie pan or I'll provide one and we make pies and I'll show you how to make homemade pie dough.
So this is like a pie emergency.
Yes.
If I don't know how to do it, I forgot to do it, I promised I'd do it and never did it, you're going to help me do it.
Yes.
Cool.
I love these ideas of mini pies or the poached pears. And I could see those working on any type of holiday meal, not just Thanksgiving. Janet, what about you when it comes to dessert? Any tricks, tips?
You can do it, girl.
This is.
I look at Alekka for this.
I was going to say, didn't you say this isn't always your forte?
It's not my. Although I am interested and will attempt, I'm more of a savory cook, not so much a pastry chef. I think it has similar techniques and things that you have to keep an eye on, but she shines in that world.
Alekka.
And Alekka does.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even hold a candle to what she can make in terms of baked goods. So I go to the experts for that, and I don't want to.
So you would buy your desserts?
Yeah,
I know. No.
probably from you.
People just invite me knowing that I'm bringing dessert.
Perfect.
Good thing to know.
I think we've talked through the whole holiday meal, but why don't we just sort of open it up? Are there any other tips or techniques that we didn't land on that we should tell folks?
I tell people to make ice.
Ice. Yes. Days ahead.
Days ahead.
Do it now. Well, maybe not. It's a little early, maybe.
But you think about what I've learned in catering, maybe you too, Janet, is to cut the alcohol or whatever you're drinking in half and double the amount of food. Because people always seem to run out of food and they have way too much to drink. That's what I've found. And then the rule for appetizers is everybody eats 2.5.
Yep. 2.5, 3 options. Yeah.
Little bites.
Little bites for calculating the amount of food you're going to cook.
And the more appetizers you have, lessen that, because they're not going to have one of each. If you
Exactly,
have
yeah.
30 people, you're not going to have 30 tartlets,
Right.
Maybe, yeah.
Ah,
Kind of spread it around.
I like these tips.
I have one for you.
Go
So
for it.
if you are low on oven space and you want to keep things that are hot, you want to keep them warm, you take a cooler, regular cooler that you would usually put, pop and water and beer in, okay? Get really hot tap water and pour it in the bottom of the cooler. Close the lid for 5 minutes. Use the little spigot on the bottom. Remove that. You now have a warmer. The entire cooler stays warm.
Brilliant.
So you can put those food items that are already hot, take them out of your oven, put them right in the cooler. Now, what I would do is maybe I would put a box or something like that on the bottom because you don't want to maybe melt anything if it's too hot.
And if you fill it up with stuff, it's really going to maintain that temperature.
It is. The residual heat from all the items in there will kind of act like a thermos. But it's
smart.
a huge space and out of the oven.
That's
Get it out of
brilliant.
there.
I don't have a second oven. I am going to do that someday.
Sweet.
Oh,
Oh, here's my tip. Don't use blue yarn to truss your turkey. I ran out of butcher twine one year.
No way.
And guess
my
what
God.
happened?
There were like blue marks
Blue
all over
marks
it.
all over.
Oh, you poor thing.
goodness.
You only do that once.
kitchen twine all the way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share with the listeners that we didn't hit today?
I have an amazing breakfast for if you have guests at your house and you want to feed an army and you don't want to be slaving over the stove.
Well, you're leading me to my next question. I was wondering if you guys had a recipe to share. So I love this because we're always thinking about the meal, but we're not thinking about people that might be coming in from out of town and staying over. So this is a breakfast dish.
Yeah, so what I call it is a breakfast bake.
Okay.
And it leaves it very open to what ingredients you want to add to it. So the basis of it is bread, eggs, either heavy cream and milk, whatever meat you want or no meat, whatever veggies you want or no veggies, and then whatever cheese you want. So I've done cubed up either focaccia or sourdough or, something that might be going bad. You can use this. You put it in a 9x13 pan, just use enough to fill the bottom with the bread. You use literally 6 eggs. That's all you need. And then add your heavy cream or your milk And I usually will do either ham or breakfast sausage, or if I have some bacon left over, I'll sprinkle that on, put some cheese on top, and then you just put it in the oven, 375 for about, I would say, half an hour to 40 minutes. You just want to make sure that the center of it, the eggs are set.
Yeah.
And then you can just set it out. People will take a little slice when they want to, and it's hands off. It's wonderful. So
Here's what I like about this too. If they came in for a different meal and you had leftover bread,
Yes.
or you had a leftover veggie that would work, or ham,
Yep.
here's a way to get rid of that stuff and reinvent it into something completely new.
exactly. We call it cross utilization, don't we? Use one in the kitchen. No.
Yes.
I'm such a nerd. I'm
No.
sorry. It's
That
using
is-
an ingredient in a lot of different ways.
I'm speaking your language, Janet. I have one.
Go
Good,
for
good.
it, Alekka.
Mine's kind of like a savory monkey bread
Ooh, I like that.
because, I buy sometimes those biscuits in the can and make a monkey bread. But this one,
Really quick, Alekka, if folks aren't familiar with monkey bread, in I grew up, we called it bubble bread. And this is just sticking little dough balls all together, usually in a bunt pan,
Yes.
right? Okay.
so mine is a savory version using your Thanksgiving leftovers.
Oh, I like that.
So you're going to take the biscuit, and then I put it in, again, some, if you have any leftover salad dressing or just like olive oil, some herbs, that would be the first layer. And on top of that, you would cut up little turkey, and then more of the biscuits, and then a layer of cranberry, more of the biscuit. So you're like layering the biscuits with your Thanksgiving leftovers.
Yes. And again, you're just using the biscuit dough that you pop open out
Yes.
of the tube, and you cut those biscuits into fours or something. And are you dipping them in butter as well, or are they just good on their own? Do they have enough
You want to
fat?
dip them in some type of butter, especially to get it out of the pan too.
That sounds delicious. And people are just snacking at it.
Yes. Or you can cut it like a slice of
Oh.
pie or cake to see all those layers.
What do you call this monkey bread?
I'm just going to make it up right now. Thanksgiving monkey bread.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
We're inviting the monkey to Thanksgiving. Well, thank you both so much. I think you've given our listeners great advice, some new things that I've never heard of before. I cannot wait to use my cooler as
I
a
know,
warmer.
that was brilliant, Janet.
I wish I remember where I saw that. It was years ago. I like to give people credit where credit's due, but I can't remember where I saw it. But yeah, it works well. Really
Yeah, because
well.
we were usually running to our neighbor's house like,
Yeah.
do you have space in your
Oh
oven?
my goodness. This is why you are Chef Life Hacks.
I know.
And with
Yeah.
that, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a plug sign off. We'll start with you, Janet. Can you give everyone where they can find you and follow you if they aren't following you already?
Sure. So mainly I'm on Instagram and TikTok, a little bit on Facebook, but on every platform, it's Chef Life Hacks. And there are dots in between, but if you just put Chef Life Hacks, it'll work well too. I don't have a website at this point. I dove into that and realized I can kind of pass along some cost savings to my clients if I don't have a website at this point, but it is in the future. So that is my main point of contact. If you would just find me on one of those social media platforms, if you want me to do any cooking classes or catering with you or just provide meals for you for the week, just let me know.
Wonderful. So, Alekka, let's turn to you as well. If folks want to find and follow you, and if they want to find out more about that new kitchen space, where can they find you?
So the information for the kitchen space is hilltopsharedkitchen@gmail.com.
All right.
If you want to find me, I am Chef Alekka PGH on the gram.
The Instagram.
The Instagram on my website is chefalekka.com.
All right.
And I will
Beautiful
be either shopping or cooking or calling Janet for help for the next 3 months.
I know. You guys get busy.
Or teaching.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you both so much for coming back on the show and sharing all of your knowledge. We appreciate it so
Doug,
much.
you're awesome. Thank you
know.
for having us.
My pleasure.
All right. Thanks, ladies. If you want to revisit the full deep dive interviews with both Janet and Alekka, you can check out Janet on episode 8 and Alekka on episode 17. Up next, wondering what bottle goes with your next big meal? We sit down with wine expert Catherine Montest of Your Fairy Wine Mother to get a little guidance from her. Catherine, we're getting into the holiday season and Thanksgiving is coming up. I have to be honest, my family, we don't do a lot of wine with dinner, but I'm sure a lot of people do. And so I'm wondering, what wines are you pulling out of the cupboard or out of the chill chest for Thanksgiving?
Thanks for asking, Doug. Pittsburgh is a turkey town for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And the number one wine to pair with turkey is Pinot Noir.
Oh,
Yeah, for red wine, Pinot Noir with turkey, it's a total no-brainer. The wine has nice, bright acidity, and it's really versatile on the table. It makes it a great choice, not just with the turkey, but for all of those side dishes that we love so much at Thanksgiving time.
I do want to just interject here.
Yeah.
We're talking Pinot Noir is a red wine.
Correct.
Turkey is poultry. And sometimes in the past, we've sometimes heard that old rule that like reds go with meats, but whites go with lighter meats. Are we just throwing that out the window nowadays?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are guidelines
Yes.
and not necessarily rules.
All right.
And even if they were rules, rules are made to be broken.
Of course.
The Pinot Noir I'm really partial to right now is from Ponzi Vineyards. And the nose on it has a really nice, warm raspberry jam, a little touch of chili pepper, and maybe even some notes of gunsmoke and red clay. It's just the mouth feeling is long. It has dark tannins, cola, maybe a touch of white pepper, and you might even get a whiff of a little anise flavor in the finish on the wine.
All of these things are reminding me of sort of perfect autumnal notes for any meal that we're having in the chillier months.
Absolutely. Yeah, Pinot Noir is super versatile, and it's a great pairing with turkey. And good thing, the Ponzi Vineyard Pinot Noir, it's available at over 100 of the fine wine and good spirit stores here in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so
it's
easily accessible.
widely available here in PA.
So, Catherine, if we're getting a little past the Thanksgiving season and now people are thinking about Christmas and that sort of end of year, I know a lot of families do Feast of the Seven Fishes. Is there something you like to pull out for that?
Great question, Doug. Champagne.
Wow. You know what, Catherine? You grab champagne more often than I ever thought you would.
Well, there's a good reason for that, Doug. Champagne is absolutely the most versatile wine for pairing with food, bar none.
I did not know that.
It's very well documented, and it has never disappointed me, except for pairing it with red meat. They're not friends.
Okay.
So don't put them at the table together. No, champagne and red meat, not friends.
But most of our poultry and some seafood, so if we're doing Feast of Seven Fishes, champagne would maybe be a good option.
Champagne is going to take you all the way from your clams and oysters and scallops right through to your lobster, crab, and flounder and sole.
Wow. I love this.
And because it's a special occasion, just please splurge and get champagne.
Like the real French defined
Real
champagne.
French champagne. But I've got a little caveat. What I want you to do there, instead of looking for those big, bold brand names that everybody's aware of, and who, by the way, spend a lot of their income on advertising so that their names are top of mind for you, avoid those guys. Look for smaller champagne houses. You may not have heard of them before. You may not see them advertised. You probably won't see them advertised.
I don't think I know what a small champagne house is.
Well, it doesn't have one of the big names on it.
Can you just give me really quickly, like 2 or 3 of the big names? Because I don't know those either.
Well, Moet Chandon,
Oh, yes.
Clicquot, Bollinger.
These are all the big guys.
Those are big guys there.
Okay. So we don't have to go in that direction.
Not at all.
Go for like a smaller operation.
A smaller operation. And the reason that I'm recommending a smaller operation is to call it champagne, it has to be grown in the Champagne region in France.
Right. We've talked about this before.
We have. It's got to be specific grapes. The winemaking method has to be exactly the winemaking method authorized by Champagne. France has got a lot of rules around putting champagne on the label. So you can be assured that if it's made its way all the way to our shelves here, it's really good quality.
If it still has that word champagne on it.
Exactly. And you can get some pretty good choices for right around $50.
So your recommendation, look for the bottles that have the word champagne, but also look for the price range that works for you with that label champagne.
Absolutely.
Okay. Catherine, thanks so much.
My pleasure, Doug.
You can find out more about Catherine on her website, www.yourfairywhinemother.com. That's our holiday show. We want to thank all of our guests and contributors. and to Kevin Selecki of Carnegie Accordion Company for providing the music to our show. Happy holidays, everyone. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another fresh episode. Stay tuned.